Still so many days away from Christmas, and the governor's already making a wish list. Marshall's here to break down the budget request. A group of folks want to ask voters to limit growth in the Front Range. It isn't even on the ballot yet, and there's already a court challenge. Growth like the kind we're seeing in Idaho Springs, which makes tonight the last time the Friday night lights shine at Gold Digger Field. And how smart is your teacher? This one won a small fortune on Jeopardy and is going back to win more. Next. The day after Halloween. You are either on the tail end of a sugar high or planning way too early for Christmas. The day after Halloween is also the day every year that the governor puts out his wish list. Not for holiday gifts, for something much less exciting, but possibly more important. Here's politics guy Marshall Zellinger.
Slides, graphs, note-taking. This is the day after Halloween as a political reporter. November 1st is the day the governor releases his budget wish list for next year. His list needs approval by state lawmakers, and Governor Gov Polis's top priority will put you to sleep faster than a candy coma. $31 million to spend on nothing. $31 million straight to the state's savings account.
Reserves aren't always the most glamorous thing to be talking about because there's always a tendency to spend it now. We want to urge caution and to really make sure that the legislature hears the voice of fiscal responsibility, that we are preparing for a rainy day.
So where does the governor want to spend money? CDOT for a change. CDOT generally does not get state money. It gets its money from gas taxes and car registration fees. Polis is asking lawmakers for $550 million from the state's general fund.
This is mostly, honestly, it's the roads and bridges maintenance and backlog. I mean, this is not new. This is not significant new projects.
New projects would be funded if Proposition CC passes, which Polis's budget does not currently include, since the vote on CC does not happen until Tuesday. He's also going back for seconds. $10 million to get 8 weeks of paid family leave for state employees.
We had this in last year's budget too, and we hope to get it this year. This is important for the state to keep up with benefits.
Here are a few other bullet points from Polis's budget. 1 year after getting state-funded kindergarten, he's hoping to pay for preschool for another 6,000 3- and 4-year-olds. He's asking for $2.4 million for new staff and inspectors to improve Colorado's air quality. And this bottom one, $10 million for new state parks. One new state park in southern Colorado, Fisher's Peak, but the other money would go for additional camping, additional parking, and bathrooms. Steve.
Bathrooms, an important investment. $500 million for roads, that can't be too hard of a sell, right?
It's rare that the state legislature approves money for transportation. It was like pulling teeth recently. The Senate Republicans wanted $500 million last year, and I think if my math's right, they got $300 million. So it's odd because all the revenue for CDOT comes from elsewhere, and you're supposed to use state money for other things. It's actually more difficult than you would think.
So, of course, there will be debate. Thank you, Marshall. We appreciate it. Well, we are getting some feedback about what was shown in a story we aired yesterday about school safety. A few Next viewers actually reached out and asked why we were showing Horizon High School's protocols on TV. We understand your concern. We also share it with you. The district asked us not to show where the students hid in class or how they chose to hide. We showed you the empty-looking classroom, but not where they specifically were. We didn't show anything that could compromise the safety of students at Horizon. But a Next viewer named Avery also asked what precautions could defend against student shooters who know their school's procedure. That is something we wondered about as well, so we asked.
One of the things we're absolutely deliberate about is talking to our kids about life-saving strategies. We're also very deliberate in not revealing what law enforcement tactics are. And that's really, I think, the difference.
It is something to consider, but I would have to say that in this situation, I think that what we're teaching students are life skills, and it applies to not just the school environment, but to any environment. And I feel like that's part of our job as an education system, is to teach students how to deal with life and how to deal with the inside world of their school as well as the outside world that's on the outside of as well.
Now, each district can create their own safety protocol, so what Adams 12 does may not be the same as your school district. Next year, state lawmakers will look into creating one statewide protocol for all districts to follow. Bring up growth in Colorado and you will hit a soft spot. An effort to limit growth along the Front Range is already going to court before it even got a chance to get started. A state title board approved the initiative that was introduced over the summer. It would limit private home growth to 1% a year for 2021 and 2022 by limiting the number of housing permits issued in 11 counties. Those counties include Denver, Arapahoe, and Douglas. Now, opponents appealed it to the state Supreme Court. Now the court will decide whether the people behind the effort can even apply to start a petition to get it on the 2020 ballot. As the 2020 election gets closer, more Democratic candidates are dropping out, but not Colorado Senator Michael Bennet. He is hanging on until the very end. This afternoon, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke dropped out. Meanwhile, Senator Bennet is getting ready to formally file his candidacy for president in New Hampshire next Wednesday. With O'Rourke out, there are still 15 candidates running for the Democratic nomination. May I make a recommendation? This is where we point you towards something interesting it's an interesting article that was written by the Salt Lake Tribune in Utah. It looks at the different ways Utah diabetics are trying to get their hands on insulin as cost for the life-saving drug continues to rise. People are getting online, offering up any extra insulin they have. Patients are using social media to plead to strangers for help. Volunteers pick it up and drop it off to people who need it. It is illegal to distribute prescription drugs, but volunteers interviewed for the report say it is a risk they are willing to take. A link to the article is posted on the next Facebook page. This got us wondering, too, is anything like this happening in Colorado? So if you've heard about something, let us know. Just email next@9news.com. Well, here is a reminder that this is not how you Colorado on Halloween night. It's like the Halloween version of a package thief. An adult man going door to door in the Meadows neighborhood in Castle Rock, stealing bowls of candy that were left outside for trick-or-treaters. Sean caught the video of the theft on his Ring doorbell camera. Sean said they decided to leave the bowl out because they weren't going to be home. When they got home, they saw this. And that is not how you Colorado. So some of you will get to watch the Avalanche take on the Dallas Stars from the comfort of your home tonight. Altitude ended a 2-month-long blackout on DirecTV last night. Now, the move comes a day after Colorado's Attorney General announced an investigation into both Comcast and DirecTV for charging a regional sports fee while Altitude was blacked out on both providers. They're still looking into that. Now, Altitude is still blacked out on Dish and Comcast, but this is great news for some fans like Eunice from Laramie, Wyoming. Eunice called me this week saying she got the runaround when she called DirecTV to complain. So when I tweeted that we were going to talk to Eunice on our Avs podcast this week, I got a call from DirecTV's parent company, AT&T. Then Eunice did too.
And it was a lady from AT&T, the president's office, wanting to speak to me about what had happened when I called customer service. So my husband, who does the computer, ran down, got on his computer, and sure enough, there was an email from her. So he wrote her a very nice email back.
Well, how much of a credit did you get?
$25 whole dollars.
$25 bucks.
At least that's what she's promised me. Now, it hasn't showed up yet on our bill.
That's okay.
It's on the record now, though.
Yeah. I think that your phone call to me scared them enough that they decided to get things fixed and get things right, huh?
Well, I'd like to think I was that important, but I have a hunch that maybe they and the Cronkies finally decided to quit fooling around.
Now, let's just say Eunice got this whole deal done. You can hear our full interview with her, including how someone from Laramie, Wyoming became an Avs fan in the next episode of From the Cheap Seats, coming this Tuesday. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can't just pan for gold anywhere. We've got rules here in Colorado, and it's the most Colorado thing we've seen today. For good reason, too. A music man in Aurora is becoming a local celeb.
That's right. On Monday, I will be appearing in the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions.
He won once. He's going for round 2 next.
Happy Friday. You made it through a bitterly cold and snowy week, and now you will be rewarded this weekend. Some sunshine and temperatures certainly warmer, upper 40s into the 50s. The views, though, just spectacular, like we just saw. Our backyard, just gorgeous. And here we are saying hello to the month of November. As far as temperatures go, usually in the lower 50s. Precip 6/10 and snowfall quite a bit, 8.7 inches on average. Across HD.9, we just have a few spots with a few clouds out there. Otherwise tonight, mostly clear and cold. We're down to 15 overnight, teens along the plains, single digits this evening in Greeley through Steamboat, Winter Park, and Vail. Bright and early tomorrow morning, our storm system moving out along with that cold front, and then high pressure is moving in. That means a warm up on the way, relatively speaking, from where we've been. A 48 tomorrow with plenty of sunshine out there, 50s along the plains, 30s and low 40s going way up high. We hit 52 on Sunday after we fall back, and then we should be in the 40s and 50s with plenty of sunshine for most of next week.
Thanks, Danielle. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a reminder of proper etiquette when you're trying to strike it rich. You can't just pan for gold wherever you want to in fair play. There are rules, people. It's only allowed in some parts of the Front Street River. This sign would have come in handy during our state's gold rush in the 1800s. Thanks to viewer Paul for pointing this out. You can send us the most Colorado thing you saw today by email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Speaking of the gold rush, it really is one of the most important events in Colorado history. It jump-started our state's economy, and without it, Colorado as we know it would not exist. The first documented finding of gold was in 1850. A group of Cherokee discovered gold flakes in Ralston Creek in today's Arvada. This sparked the gold rush a few years later.
In 1858, the biggest gold searching expedition to date came out here to Colorado, and they didn't really have a lot of luck. They didn't find much, so most of those guys had gone home. 13 stayed on and kept looking, and just a little over a week later, they found a significant amount of gold in the Platte River, about 4 miles upstream from today's confluence with the Cherry Creek.
The news exploded into the eastern United States, and through the winter of 1858, people flocked to Colorado. Men like William Byers, the founder of the Rocky Mountain News, and William H. Larimer started buying up land in and around Denver.
What these guys knew was that it was way more likely that they were going to make a buck publishing newspapers, selling whiskey, selling mining supplies in Denver than it was that they were actually going to find gold. And it turned out they were right.
Mining towns like Gold Hill, Central City, and Leadville were born, and surrounding towns like Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, and Colorado Springs started to prosper as well.
So, the ultimate significance of the gold rush for modern Colorado is really that it set up our state's current geography. Without the gold rush, it's difficult to say what Colorado looked like.
How can you not love that piano? Here's another interesting tidbit. During Colorado's gold rush, you could pay for a beer at a saloon with pinches of gold dust. This is not a myth. Here's the proof. That's a balance scale from the late 1800s. Saloon owners would use this to weigh the gold dust to determine how much beer a customer could get. I've tried it. Doesn't work today. This is on display right now at History Colorado. It's nice to be a champion.
Last year I won 7 games. I won $145,000, which was pretty nice. Paid off a lot of debt.
You win one small fortune, then get a chance to win more. But he's doing it for the children. President Donald Trump said Colorado's getting a wall. A big one that really works. We found it. Next. You know what's great about Next? That we get to meet a lot of cool people who do interesting things, like a teacher at Aurora Central High School who won a small fortune on Jeopardy. Now Kyle Jones is going back, and he hopes to win more to help his students.
And 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ever since he could remember, Kyle Jones has been interested in music.
Finally got the opportunity when I was in 5th grade. So I've been playing since then. 3 and 1.
Jones is the music teacher at Aurora Central High School, teaching his students melodies through the art of hand-eye coordination.
Given the opportunity to really start off on the right foot.
It's a strategy that he used last summer.
My shows aired in September of 2018.
On one of America's favorite trivia shows.
We're all just nerds who are excited to get the chance to be on Jeopardy. My audition was in March of 2017, so I had a long time to wait. Last year I won 7 games. I won $145,000, which was pretty nice.
And over the summer, he got a call back.
That's right.
To answer more clues with a question.
Yeah, on Monday I will be appearing in the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions, which does require some quick thinking and some reading and thinking simultaneously.
He's been getting ready using the same strategy he teaches his students.
For buzzer training, I found a website that reads questions and then turns a light on, and it will time you pressing a button. I went through all of the presidents, and I made a flashcard for each one.
He can't talk about the results, so we don't know how his strategy paid off.
Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
But he's guaranteed to have an orchestra of support tuning in on Monday night.
I haven't taught them to play the Jeopardy theme yet. It is copyrighted.
For next,
I'm kind of like family there now.
I'm Byron Reed.
The Tournament of Champions begins airing next Monday, so go ahead, set the DVR to record it, so you can join us for next, and then see how he does right after. On this, once the Friday night lights go out at Gold Digger Stadium tonight, they won't be coming back on. Clear Creek High School's last game of the season will be the final one at that field. We featured in next Gold Digger Stadium out in Idaho Springs last month. Now, just before their final homecoming game there, so the district is selling the field and some of the property that surrounds it. They've already got a few developers interested in buying it. All of their plans, the designs at least, include concepts for housing.
With any of the potential designs, there's conversation around some multifamily housing. There's different formats and different designs in terms of what they've proposed. All of them incorporate, some parks and some green space, which for Idaho Springs and Clear Creek in general is lovely because there's not a lot of flat buildable land up here for housing, and we need some.
The district's board of directors will be discussing the sale of the field in their next 2 meetings. Next season, the Gold Diggers will play at the school's practice field in Floyd Hill, which will be upgraded. Colorado's border wall is pretty colorful. We will show you and get your feedback. Some spicy stuff next. Hey, Colorado's border wall must be going up. A next viewer found it over the weekend heading home from New Mexico. Dave and his family were driving over Colorado's border with New Mexico, just south of Antonito in Conejos County, when they saw it. A colorful Lego wall labeled Trump's Wall. Dave had to double back so he could take pictures of it. He and his family were in New Mexico for their kids' fall break. They got stuck there because of the storm, and good thing they got back when they did, before that wall was finished. Your feedback now. Sarah writes in our story about Eunice Heiser. She says, hey, can you have Eunice call Comcast next? Yeah, maybe that's my next phone call when I get out of here. And then Todd wrote, where's Kyle? You suck. We love constructive feedback here. So, Todd, I'm going to work on sucking less next time.